Okay, so on our daily tracking sheet, we're going into relationships in Girl on Fire. My whole purpose of having it called Girl on Fire is basically because we're freaking badass women. We want it all. We want the epic relationships. We want the awesome businesses. We want, or like thrive in our companies, right? Like we want to be those stellar women, and we are, and we're willing to work for it. We want the body, we want it all, and we're willing to work for it, right? And so in order to do that, we have to focus on more than just the body. The body is something that like we have a lot of control over, as far as we can control what we eat, we can control how much exercise we do, we can control how much water we have. And then it's about mindset and taking care of ourselves, like the self-care. The more, I think, as women in society, we are taught that we're taught by our role models to sacrifice ourselves and to put everybody else in front of us. That's the selfless thing to do. And what I've realized over time is, honestly, the more time I put into myself, which I thought was selfish, the better version my family gets of me. So when I power up my body by making sure that I'm working out, I feel good. So I'm happier. And then I bring that happier version to everybody else, right? I have more energy. I can play with the kids. I can listen to them. Whereas before, when I was putting myself last, it was like all I could do to listen to what they were saying to me on the way home from school. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm already exhausted. Like I don't have the brain power to. It took a lot of brain power to make sure that I was paying attention. Does that make sense? So when we put in greens into our body, like we just feel good and we're primed and we're working in optimal performance. And that's the version that I want to bring home to my kids, to my husband. Like I don't want them to get the leftovers of me and then only my coworkers or only my friends get like the happy bouncy version of me, right? And so we just want an epic life. We want an awesome, amazing life. And we can't really control the circumstances outside of us, but we can control how we respond inside of us. And so, yes, we focus on the body in Girl on Fire because it makes us feel good. It's not so much like the looks, it's just, it makes us feel good. It makes us have confidence. It makes us have energy. And then the other part I want to focus on is our heart center, which is our relationships. And it starts with ourself. We cannot have optimal relationships with other people if we are consistently beating ourselves up and feeling like crap, because we can't, there's no light there. And so it's really important to bring in that self-care so that we're filling our own cups, so we don't have the expectation of other people filling up our cups, other people doing the things, and then we get frustrated because they're not doing what we want them to do, right? So it starts with me moments, which is on your tracker. So it's down here on the heart part. So we have our body, and then heart, and then me moments. So me moments can be really, really small, or they can be bigger. Usually once a week, I like to have something a little bit bigger, like maybe scheduling a massage if the budget, if I have that in the budget, or like I like to go get my lashes done or your hair done or something like that. But for the most part, it's really about implementing moments every single day. So whether that's taking time to go sit on the porch and breathe for 5 minutes, to go outside of your work at lunchtime and take a walk so that you can clear your mind, right? Meditation is really good. Journaling is really good. I'm terrible at journaling. But for some people, that's like their go-to thing where they can just journal out negative feelings. There's a tool called Write and Burn that one of my mentors, my business mentor, taught me. And when I do it, it's great. I just don't do it all the time. It's her go-to thing. Like that is her first thing every day that she does. Any negativity, so negative thoughts that are coming up, you just write it all down on a piece of paper and then you burn it with a lighter or whatever and just kind of release it. So that's one tool. Okay, so don't laugh, but when my kids were little, I was like, I just need to make sure that I shave my legs every day. I was just like, it was all I could do to get in the bathtub. And I remember at that time, my mentor was like, take a 30-minute bath. And I was like, how in the crap am I going to find time to take 30 minutes? I've got 5 kids. We're all going everywhere. Like, I'm never going to have that time. And so it started with me even doing 10 minutes. Or I would meditate when I would like lock the door when I had to go pee, and I would meditate on the toilet. This is so insane, but I would meditate on the toilet for like 2 minutes and meditate, not like, it was just like clear your mind. Because I didn't want little fingers going under the door and like, Mom, what are you doing? Mom, they always seem to need you when you're peeing. I don't know what the deal is. For those of you that have small kids, this too shall pass, because now my kids are older. I don't have my 2 older ones at home, and my youngest, we split custody, so she's here 1 week on, 1 week off, and like there's so much freedom. You're just like, I don't even know what to do with myself. At first, you're starting to go into that, huh, Bobby? Like your kids are independent.
Yeah. It's freaking crazy. They're either at school or at work, or they're hanging out. Now they have a license, so I don't have to drive them around everywhere. And I'm sitting at home going, I don't know what to do. And then I'm like, I should go exercise. And then I'm like, but nobody's here. I think I'm gonna watch TV.
You're like, wait, I get to watch what I want to watch? Yeah. I think I'm gonna do that. Well, this is still like a new phase, so it will wear off. So don't worry about that. Like you'll be like, oh, okay, well, there's only so many TV shows that I can sit and watch. Like, don't worry. You'll be fine.
Yeah, it was crazy. I'll never forget the first time I came home from work and I'm like, hey, I'm home. The only ones there were my dogs. I'm like, what the heck, man? Where's everybody?
It's the weirdest feeling. And then you're in like where Abby's at and you think that day's never going to come. Like that day seems like forever. So yeah, it's so interesting. Life is just so interesting. But so my goal for you guys is for all of us, is to figure out some small me moments that you can do every single day. Sometimes that's sitting on the couch drinking a glass of tea. Sometimes that is going to be watching your show. Sometimes that's going to be giving yourself a nap. Like whatever thing you can do to fill your own cup up and change your vibe is the thing. And so the more often that you get used to doing that, number one, you'll start doing it more. You just automatically start doing it more. And then number two, it fills your cup up in another way besides just moving your body. Moving your body, you get the endorphins, you get all that. Doing the me moments is something where it's just definitely self-care, and you just give yourself a little love every day, you know? So I do have a couple of tools. I think both of you, because you were in the VIP, I think you guys probably already have this, but quick shifts, if you're in a negative vibe, it's a quick shift. And it just like, there's things like where you can turn on music, like your favorite songs. Like I love Sugarland. She always puts me in a good mood. I'm trying to think of what else. Okay, so I'm going to use this as music is so amazing. So for those of you that love Christmas, you could turn on Christmas music and it automatically puts you in a good mood, right? Disney music, if you want to feel more childlike, like that is super fun. Now, Abby, you probably have Disney music all the time because you have little kids. So it's a little bit different for you, but even still, you probably notice when you put on Disney music, like your kids get happier, they get more excited. Like it's just fun.
My kids get sick of Disney music before I do. So,
Really?
yep.
That's funny. Oh, this is the other thing I use music for. So let's say my husband and I are not having a good day and I just want to rip his head off or poke him in the eyes or smack him. Let's just call it what it is. I will put on, when I'm noticing that, like after I get out of my pity party of being mad at him, when I realize that I don't want to feel that way, like I catch it and I want to flip it and I don't want to feel that way, then I will put on, I have like a love song playlist because it will shift my vibe into remembering the things about him that I love, you know, and then it just completely shifts my vibe. And so by the time he gets home from work, I'm not so upset, you know, because you can keep going down that rabbit hole and then it just keeps going, you know, and so that's one thing that I use a lot. I shouldn't say a lot. It's not like I'm mad at him like all the time, but so I use it for that. And I also use it to like get in the mood. So if I know, okay, you know, we really need time together, I'll listen to that like while I'm driving and stuff. And then it will help me be more ready to be in the mood because I'm lovey-dovey and, you know, all that. So music can help with a lot of things. Do you have any ideas on like things that shift your vibe? Like what shifts your vibe?
Music's huge. We're very, very big on music at my house.
Okay.
And we'll blare it and we dance around. Or my kids have the Oculus thing. And when you turn on Beat Saber and play those songs and you're like dancing, it's crazy, but it's fun and it pumps you right up. And Christmas, I watch Christmas movies in July sometimes, but I love Christmas and it makes me happy.
Oh, that's so great. That's so great. Did you know? Okay. So I heard this on a podcast one time. Did you know that science backs this up, that if you listen to music from when you were in like junior high, like before life became super overwhelming. Okay. So 6th, 7th, 8th grade, if you put on those songs, it automatically takes you back to like a childlike, like it makes you super happy.
Well, I didn't know it was scientifically proven, but on my Pandora, I have a Salt and Pepper playlist.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. We've been on drives before, and when we were driving to Arizona, so Brandon and I are 10 years apart, and so my playlist is way different than his playlist, but because his playlist is 10 years newer, it also brings me to like really good times too, because it was when my first son was born. His high school playlist was when my son was born. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I listened to like, and Brandon's so cute. Like I shouldn't divulge his. He probably wouldn't care, but like he loves like Britney Spears and NSYNC and like Backstreet Boys, and so we'll be in the car and we're like, oh yeah.
He's the same music era I am.
Yeah, you guys are the same music. And then Bobby, I think you're a little bit closer to my age. I'm not sure. I think you're in between me and Abby.
Yeah, I'm 38, but me and my husband are the same. He's about eight years older than me, so he'll
Did
pick
you-
a song and be like, "Do you remember jamming to this in junior high?" And I was like, "No, I was in elementary and I didn't listen to music."
Did you, okay, so you guys are the same age. Did you guys go to school together?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
No, me and Daniel are 8 years apart. He's way older than me.
Oh, you're 8 years apart. I thought you were saying you guys are the same.
No, we're the same as you guys. That's what I meant.
Oh,
We had a big
okay.
age gap.
So,
Yeah, so he'll remember stuff from when he was like 16 and he's like, "Do you remember?" And I was like, "No, I was like 8. Sorry."
yeah, that is funny. Yeah, Brandon remembers a lot of like TV shows and stuff like that. I don't remember TV shows. Do you guys remember TV shows and like words and different things from TV shows? I'm terrible at that.
The really old songs that I learned from a TV show I used to watch.
Really?
Yep, it was called Kids Incorporated.
I
and it played
remember.
on Nickelodeon.
I didn't watch TV. but I can kind of quote every Disney from Cinderella on word for word.
You watched Disney. You didn't watch TV.
Mm-mm. We weren't allowed to watch anything outside of Disney.
That's actually, I wish I would have had that rule.
Not with my children. I'm like, what are we watching? No, we're not watching that. Turn it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I mean, it brings in a lot of, except for, let me just say, Disney ruins the fairy tale of marriage. Like, I'm telling you, if you think about it, every single Disney movie is like, oh, you're gonna get your Prince Charming, da, da, da. And then you marry them and they like fart and burp, and you're like, what the heck? This was not what Prince Charming looked like. You're like, this was not what Cinderella's prince was like. Like, aren't you supposed to like pull me up onto a horse and like oh
I'm
gosh.
pretty sure that's what my husband said when he married me, is that I was nothing like a princess at all. I don't even know if you could use the word lady.
Oh gosh. That's so funny. We love our husbands. We love our lives, right? Except for Abby, you kind of did get it because you guys did ballroom dancing.
You know how many
Fun.
freak toads I had to go through to find him though? So many toads.
And they
Yeah.
don't turn into princes.
And no, they didn't. And he won't dance with me because he has to have the routine completely planned out. So it gives him anxiety. So unless we have a planned out routine, we don't dance.
Really?
Yeah, that's part of his autismness, whatever you want to call it.
Really?
Yeah. So we pretend sometimes, but that's about it.
Yeah. So Bobby, fun fact, her husband took ballroom dancing in college. And so they really do ballroom dancing. Like, it's so cool. We went Valentine's, there's this thing at Thanksgiving Point, and we went, like, it was so cool. We like dressed up into really fancy clothes, and it was the coolest thing. I hope we get to do that again.
They should have it open this this year. They didn't do it at all last year because of COVID, but I think they'll open it back up. So
It was
we should,
awesome.
we
We
should all
should,
go.
we should do that with a bunch of people. It was fun.
That sounds way cool. My daughter has a friend and he does ballroom dancing and has some like trophies and awards from it. I was like,
Really?
really? It's your dad?
It's so cool. Yeah, I thought it was super cool. So, okay, so can you think of like anything that you can do that's small, that maybe doesn't cost a lot, that you could do on a daily basis, and it can change, but can you think of something that would like fill your cup?
Something beside music?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we gotta have lots of options here.
Like, I don't know, music's always my go-to.
I know,
Like
one of my friends,
going on a hike always puts me in a good mood.
what is it?
Going on a hike,
Yes. That's good.
I love that. But it's getting colder, so.
Yeah, going outside, being active, that's a good option. One of my friends loves going for a drive. She has a Jeep, and so it's like her favorite thing that she just goes and rides in her Jeep. Another option. So these, I'll send you guys the quick shifts, but of examples. But I have, this is what I have, music. So I also have an empowerment playlist too. So I have like empowerment, workout, love songs, like, what do you call it? Throwback songs. Hang on. No. Also, another thing, another playlist that I have is like worship music. So when I feel like I'm like so down and kind of hopeless, then I listen to worship music to remind me like I'm his daughter. He's got our back. Like the universe has us. Everything's going to be okay. Just keep going. Have faith, like all that stuff. And so I do have one of those playlists too, because sometimes it just helps me. Or if I'm like really mad at some people, that helps me too, because I'm like, okay, in the long run, it really doesn't matter. And I'm only hurting myself, right? I'm only hurting myself being grumpy. They don't freaking care what they've done, you know? So it doesn't affect them. So that's one way to get to do a quick shift, me moments, listen to a meditation. So you guys have the Girl on Fire Power Promises, the 2 that I made for you. Can't remember what the other one's called. I haven't listened to it since I did that live. I haven't listened to it for a couple months, I guess. It was a while ago. Oh, Daily Declarations. That's what it's called.
There you go.
I'm like, why can I not think of this? Oh my gosh. Yeah, so there's those. Get outside and be active, go for a walk, hike, bike ride, or run, or you could even just walk on the treadmill and watch your Hallmark.
Hot shower. Those are always
Hot
good.
shower. I love that. Yep. Sit back and relax, take in a few deep breaths, focusing on what you want to experience or create in the moment. Shift your environment to one you love. So for me, it's always like, I love water. And so I was actually just thinking about this. Like, I love like waterfalls, streams. I love the ocean. Obviously, it's not like, I mean, we live in Utah. I can't just go to the ocean. But I can have like a little peaceful, you know, those little things that you can buy even at Walmart, where it just has like the water trickling down the little waterfall. I can have something like that and listen to that. I can listen to nature sounds on, I have, it's like an old school alarm thing that has like sounds on it. So you could listen to that. Taking a nap, set a time to go out with friends or a family member or call somebody up just to talk. Which I don't know if you're like me, but I tend to, when I'm not feeling good, I tend to isolate myself. And so a lot of times just reaching out and talking to somebody, like I was having a really hard time and I called Abby one day and like I felt so much better after just being able to talk to somebody, even though there wasn't like a lot she could do in the situation. It was just listening to me. And then sometimes when you're talking about a situation, you're like, oh, I'm being an idiot. Like I'm being a baby. This is not that big of a deal. There's people way worse off. But also sometimes talking about it is just like, oh, it gets it off your chest and you can start thinking of solutions instead of being stuck in the problem, you know. Take a bath, paint your nails. So painting your nails is one thing that I do a lot. Because it just, I don't know, it just makes me feel pretty. And so, and it doesn't take that long, you know? So painting my nails just does it. Go work out, try a new class, kickboxing, Zumba, something exciting that you haven't done in a while. Oh my gosh. Okay. So a couple Saturdays ago, I went and did that Tai Chi class in the park at Sugar House. It was so fun. So freaking fun. I knew nothing about it. It was like meditation kind of. It was so cool. So things like that always excite me, of course. Write a gratitude list in your journal. That's huge, whether it's in your journal or not, but just stopping and thinking of like 10 things that you're grateful for, that can shift your vibe in an instant. Stop and cuddle your kids, your spouse, focus on giving out more love. So a lot of times when we're in our own crap, if we can do service for somebody else, it really, it takes a lot of energy, right? Because you don't feel like doing anything. But when you do it, it just makes you feel so much better. So those are just some little ideas that you can do to change your feelings and vibrations instantly. And then from there, like after you work on you, you can work on your relationship to your spouse and to your kids. So I haven't done this in a little while, but I probably get to do it, but just like writing little love notes. So I like to write notes on our bathroom mirror because I know he'll get up in the morning way before me. And like, if I'm just like, good morning, my sexy, handsome husband, or I love you, or hope you have a good day, or thank you for, you know, whatever, like he always makes me breakfast. And so, and the cool thing is if you thank them for that, they do it more. So if you just honor when they do something and like make a big deal, they do it more without you having to ask. So like if your husband ever does the dishes, make a big freaking deal about it. If he ever cooks for you, make a big freaking deal about it, because it's like their little pat on the back and they like that pat on the back. And then you don't even have to ask them as much because they just do it because they know it makes you happy. And, you know, they usually get other treats later when they do things like that.
And if you brag to your friends and your friends happen to know them, they're like, oh, Seth makes Abby's breakfast every morning. He's going to make it for me every morning.
Yep, it's so true. That's the secret. That's the secret to getting your spouse to do the things that you want him to do, is you just freaking brag him up. And then he'll be like, and like, even if he's only done it once, but you totally brag him up, he remembers that. And so if you want him to do something and he's not good at doing it, Just be like, oh my gosh, my husband, the other day, he did this and this and this. And oh my gosh, it was just so awesome. And they remember that. It's so cool. They remember it. Even if they're not good at doing it, they will start doing it more. It's so fun to watch. So that's the trick to getting them to do the things that they aren't good at doing. It's remembering not to nag him. It's remembering to, like, you know, there are things where I'm like, okay, I really just need you to clean up after yourself. Just clean up after yourself. Please just clean up after yourself. But when he does do it and I make a big deal about it, then I realize I don't really have to like ask him as much. It's just the way it is. Okay, and then relationship to your kids. So when my kids were home, I would make sure and do like, I couldn't afford to do every single one of them every week, but I made sure I got like quality time with each one of them every single week. And then we would have dates individually. And our kids still really like that. So like, and it's funny because if Brandon does like a daddy-daughter date with Grace, Lizzie will be like, well, when do I get to have mine? You know, and you don't even really realize how much one-on-one time is with your kids, but it matters to them. They like having you one-on-one. They like having just your attention. At least that's been my experience. And so when I was previously married and I had all 5 kids, and they were like ages 8 to 15, 8 to 16. It was a lot. It was like we were constantly, you're going through this, Bobby, like you're constantly going to different tournaments and practices, and one's out the door and one's in the, you know, it's just, it was a lot. And I remember thinking, how am I going to be able to do this? Like, if I took time with every single one every single day, like I wouldn't be able to have time for myself. I wouldn't be able to get the things done. So I just took each one once a week. So like I would be like, okay, well on Monday, I'm going to make sure I get, you know, at least 5 to 10 minutes of quality time conversation with Derek. And then on Tuesday, I'm going to make sure I focus on Jace. On Wednesday, I'm going to focus on Grace. On third, like that would just be what I would do to make sure that I got at least one day a week with each of them. Obviously, you want to be able to do with all of them, but it just became a little too much. Like I wasn't doing good at it. So starting with yourself first, and then your spouse, that's the next relationship, and then your kids. Just writing notes to them random. So writing notes, sending them a text, sending them a text that you're grateful for something that they did. Something that I did a few days ago was make sure and message Lizzie. I know that she's kind of been struggling in school a little bit. And so she sent me something that she did. And so I just made sure and texted her, like, I am so proud of you for taking the initiative to do this specific thing today. And so since I did that, she's actually been like staying after school, making sure she's getting tutored. Like she'll retake a test if she didn't do good. You know, some kids are just more like self-driven. But when you recognize and honor some small thing that they've done really well that day, it really does hone in. Like they like to make us proud. They like to make them, and it's important for us to teach them to be proud of themselves, you know, and that feeling and that reward of just feeling good. And so it's just important. So I'm going to add in, if you want to add in, the me moments on your tracker this week. I know that we're like not hitting 100%, and that's okay. But even if you start hitting like 2 or 3 times a week of making sure that you're taking me moments, it's going to make a difference. And it can be little things. Sometimes it's reading a book. Sometimes it's just like taking time to read 10 minutes or a couple chapters or something. I do I like to maximize my time. So I do a motivational something, learning, inspiration, something every day when I'm doing walking, even if I can only listen to it for 10 minutes. I usually pull up on YouTube. Like yesterday, I just I wanted to listen. I just typed in what did I type in? I don't know. I think I typed in motivation. And then all this stuff like Oprah came up and Tony Robbins came up, Mel Robbins came up, like all these different things. And I just clicked on one. And it was really, I listened to Oprah and I was like, oh, I haven't heard Oprah in a really long time. And she really has some great things to say sometimes, you know? I mean, a lot of times, not just sometimes, but it just can put you into a different vibe. And so when you're feeling really crappy, it's really good to just listen, fuel your mind with something positive because it changes your whole outlook of things, you know. And it's so interesting because we in America, we are so spoiled. Like we have so much that we take for granted, and it's not on purpose. It's like it's kind of like talking about the white privilege thing, you know. And there is something to that. As much as I'm like, okay, well, we shouldn't be paying for for the ancestors' mistakes, right? Like, but there is something to some of that. Like in third world countries, their bathrooms are outside, you know, and they're sleeping on the ground. And, you know, they don't have warm and cool houses and heated seats in their cars and vehicles that are nice to drive.
Or water.
Or water, running water. And yeah, like when we were in Mexico, you guys, this is such a bratty thing, but I was like, I turned on the hotel water and it was like lukewarm. And I'm like, this is terrible. Because I really love hot showers and we're in this nice hotel and I'm like, this sucks. I hate this, you know, but really we do, even when our budgets are super tight, when things aren't working the way that we want them to work. Number one, we always make it through. We always do. We always find a way. We're super resilient. And number two, we still have way more than so many people in the world. Like we still, even when we can only afford top ramen and hot dogs, we still can afford top ramen and hot dogs. And we have the luxury of like, hey, we can go DoorDash. Hey, we can go donate plasma. Hey, like there are things that we can do when we feel like we're at wit's end and we don't have money. We still have the luxury of being in a warm house with electricity and, you know, our families. Like we have the luxury of having our families around us. Our kids are, you know, even our kids can be healthy. Our kids, even if they have problems, we still get the luxury where we get to hug them every day. And that's a big deal because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of bad things going on in this world that, you know, we're not a part of. So there's a lot to be grateful for. And that's the thing around Thanksgiving. A lot of times Thanksgiving and Christmas, like money gets tight, you know, because we're spending it on celebrations and we're trying to make sure our kids have good Christmases and all of that. And I just want to help you remember like that you're special and you have meaning and you have purpose, and we're the moms of our families, we're the wives of our families, we're the glue. And sometimes we feel like we can't keep getting back up. Sometimes we feel like life is overwhelming, but we're stronger than that. And even when we're down, we still have so much power within our homes. And we have so much love to give. And we have a lot to be grateful for. So I just want us to remember as we're going into the season, like, make sure that you're doing little things to take care of you, because you're freaking fantastic. And you get to remember that, especially as you're trying to help your kids remember, and help them have good times. You get to remember that you are amazing. So anyways, that's all I got. So, okay, so I'm gonna hit stop on the recording, and then after that, I'm gonna ask you guys like what if you guys need anything in particular or special that I can help you with. So hang on one second. Recording.